Hello there, welcome back to another series of videos. Today I'm going to talk about Blue Spring, which is a film made by Toshika Toyoda. And this film was made in 2002 and it stars Ryuhei Matsuda, Nightmare Detective himself, and Hirofumi Araya, who's an actor for a while and now he's in jail. That's the best way to put it. Yeah, he's in jail just now for rape, so his career didn't... He was a respectable actor for a while and then all hell went loose with him. But, so, Toyoda is a director that is underseen over here. I mean, he's known for a couple of things, but really he's not that. He's not like Sion Sono level of fame, which is a cult fame, or Takashi Miike or Sakamoto or something. He's actually even smaller than that for like fame over here. I mean, he's had a box set release of some of his films. There's going to be a new one by Third Window, but even those ones are hard to sell because they're such limited interest in Toyoda. It's just he hasn't really transferred over to the rest of the world. It's just like his themes don't seem to resonate for some reason, because I've watched two of his films and they're both great. I mean, I covered Pornostar a while ago. Now we're on the Blue Spring. I covered Pornostar before the summer, like Heatwave. I was going to go into the Blue Spring pretty quick, and then the Heatwave hit, so obviously I was slowed down. But I finally got to Blue Spring, and I've got like two others to watch before the second box set arrives. But I'm really looking forward to those. Now, Blue Spring is set in a school that's run down. Nobody cares that much. The teachers go there and get paid and they get abused by the students. Some of them learn, some of them don't. The ones who don't pretty much get ignored. And they're getting and most of them are just flailing around, finding ways to amuse themselves and finding ways to kill time as they wait to leave school and wonder what they're going to do with their lives, because they have no idea. There's Yakuza around, so it shows you who gets into Yakuza, like a person gets into Yakuza. There's others who don't want to do that either, and they try to figure out a way to be within this environment, which is like a metaphor for society, really, where you can be a studious person, or you can enjoy society, or you can be an outsider and always feel that you're alone and you're always fighting for your place. So it is a kind of metaphor for society with teenagers who are still kind of finding their place and actually starting to realise that this is it. This is all they've got to look forward to, is this feeling of depression and not fitting in and finding little joys, and that's it, and getting disappointed in each other. And it's just that kind of sense of there's camaraderie, but there's also a distance between them, which you probably recognise from your own school days, where you had friends, but some friendships were closer than others, and some friendships had a lot of tensions below the surface that no one would talk about but were there, and it's metaphor for life, really. So it's a terrific film, but it's a very dark film. Now, the picture you see behind me is a picture they take beginning the film of these group of pals who are together, and by the end of the film, some of them are dead, and some of them have moved on. And the person who's not in the picture is like a protagonist. He's observing them all, trying to make sense of life and trying to make sense of what to do with his life, because he's very kind of detached. He can't quite... You're not even sure he should stay in school or just leave now because it's a waste of his time. He doesn't know why he would study. He doesn't know why he would be a gangster either. He's like having an existential crisis at a very young age. He just doesn't know where he wants to be, and he doesn't like being photographed, doesn't like being anything. And in the beginning of the film, there's this thing about who becomes the leader of the pack in the school, who becomes the top guy in the school. It's a test of guts. There's this rail at the top of the roof, and you have to do this thing where you have to let go, fall back and grab. And so many of those you can do because it's exhausting to do it in your body. It's like, how many can you do? And the person who can do the most of them is the top guy in school. And this, our lead character does it, and he takes over the leadership. Now, he's not exactly keen on being the leader either, though. He does it to prove he can do it. He's not really that interested in being the top guy. The top guy is just a meaningless thing for him. It's like, who cares? But everyone else invests on it more because his gang are now the guys who are the gang of the top guy in school. And they feel like this promotes them to have greater importance. Especially his friends Aoki, who was always much more interested in this area and likes to fight, and there's lots of anger issues, let's just say. And he's like he's always raging, but he's always a kind of comical figure. And he's just this rage-filled person who knows he's not fit for life. He knows he's not a studious person. He's bored, eats in school. He's just not a guy that anyone respects. And amongst his friends, as he becomes our lead character becomes a leader, you start to cut in between those. You've got the lackey who's trying to prove himself. You know, he's basically the gopher for them. And as time goes on, he starts to find a girlfriend, and he's starting to move on, and nobody's interested in their kind of hijinks anymore. It's like, well, he's just joined society. He's actually realising, I don't fit in here. I'm not... Why just service these guys? This is ridiculous. So he kind of moves away. We have another guy who's going to join the Yakuza. And he's sucking up to them, and he's really... That's a guy in a red t-shirt. Wait. He's another guy who's trying to bring into the Yakuza as well. Who's a musician, but he's failing in his basic studies. He never goes to the classes, and he's getting threatened by having to retake the year. You've got another one who's a baseball player. The team lost, so the team needed to win so that he could get attention of the scouts. So that's not going to happen. So his ambitions are now dead in the water. He's trying to work out what to do with his life. So you've got a whole bunch of them who are... There's other ones floating around as well. But it's just this group of basic teenagers who are just about to become men, and they're not quite sure what they're going to be. They're not quite sure what life has in store for them. Now, the main fight really in the film is between these two characters behind me, which is Aoki and our central character. As you can see, it goes a bit extreme with this scene with the two cigarettes placed against each other. And they do have a close relationship. They were close as children, but Aoki kind of knows that he's not been treated too seriously by his friend. His friend isn't treating his ambitions seriously. His friend isn't even treating the idea of being the boss seriously. Like, the old boss comes up to him after he's defeated his reign, and he's trying to be snarking, the guy just breaks his nose. It's like, he doesn't care. It's always a show, this is absurd. And the kind of condescension the Aoki feels with this guy starts to really get him, and so he starts shaves his hair, and he starts to become a bully, and starts to become the guy who's going to take over anyway, no matter what. And he's slowly going mad because he realises this is an absurd ambition. Like, this is in school, it doesn't matter. Just the same way as in life, it wouldn't matter. You go and become a Yakuza, you're still a small fry in a big pond. It's not that important. And so Aoki gets through the existential crisis of watching his life kind of fail and watching his friends fail, because he starts to see his friends fail. Like, the musician guy goes mad. Starts to just go mad. One of his friends dies. Another one goes off in a different direction than expected, in a violent direction. It just becomes this devolution. I'm trying not to say exactly what happens so you can experience it. There is violence, and it's very effective violence, but I'm trying not to say what happens. But it's this sort of sense of them watching their friends slowly devolve into, like, the kind of brutalities of life. The idea that you can't really, even your friends, you can't quite trust them. They do have interests that have nothing to do with you. You know, like our lead character becomes interested in gardening, which confuses everybody. It's like, well, you're the top guy, you're interested in gardening, what the hell are you doing? He starts interested in school again, which is people find weird, but he's just like, he may as well get qualifications while he's here. And it's that thing of, even though it's absurd because this is a poor school, there's just this sense of try and make do with what you've got and try to find the best way through hell. Even this guy's doing that, he's still not quite sure of himself of why he wants to do it. It reminds me a lot of An Elephant Sitting Still, where you got schools in there as well, and it's that same sense of this school was in China and that was like this was in Japan. It's still that sense of when a doomed school of full of people no one cares that much about. There's not much pressure and attainment. They just want you to just fail. You're going to be the working class people. You're just going to be scum of the earth. Just go away. It's that kind of thing. They're just trying to find a way through that feeling of helplessness. And it just becomes this crushing thing down because the teachers don't care. No matter what you do to the teachers, they're picking up their check at the end of the day and they don't care. They've got through this. They may be in a class they don't like, but they're getting paid and they move on. And all these stupid fights between all these students ultimately doesn't affect their ability to get paid. Like, the counsellor can tell them different things, but the counsellor doesn't really care. They can do various things to each other. They can do various tricks and fight each other and brutalise each other. You know, and inspire the younger kids, the juniors, to come up and become kind of like them. You can do all of that. The teachers don't care. There's no chance to stop it, so they don't even bother trying. So that creates a sense of helplessness as well. It's like this sense of they're not even fighting back. There's not. They don't care enough to even fight back against us. They're just letting it be, and it's like so it's less of a challenge for anybody who's a rebel. It's like, yeah, we'll let you feel. We don't care. And that's just like a metaphor for society again. It's like, society doesn't care what you do to yourself. You can be dead for all they care. They do not care. You're just a number to them. And that kind of thing that just rains down in people and makes them feel insane. Their ambitions don't mean anything. Their life doesn't mean anything. It's like, how do you deal with that? And the film shows there's no real solution. There's nothing you can do. But the best any characters do is a lead character who looks at the mess with others and think, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't feel motivated to rebel that much. I'll just learn what I can here and I'll try and figure my way through it, but I don't really know. I mean, the only real emotion he shows is to his friends as they start to seem to be like collapsing themselves. But he knows he can't do much with them either. It's just like they are who they are, and it's just like this society that, and it's one of the things where the character probably knows he's going to see this again and again through life. It's not anything's going to change through life. It's just like a situation where people are self-destructive. They don't think things through. They're egotistical. The society doesn't care. Everything's left to rot. There's this sort of sense through the film of just wasted potential, and no one's been motivated, and nobody's. It's just a. The school's just a kind of garbage disposal unit. That's what the school basically is. It's a poor school. It's for the students who are not that great. Or if they'd promised ones, they don't have it anymore, or they're okay. And even intelligent ones are worn down so much that even the best you can do is have an average intelligence in there. That's the best you can do. So, I mean, there's schools like that every country. You know, there's plenty of schools that you've got. I mean, I think in my school, when I was going to school, it's basically you had your top class or two, which were the people who would go on to uni. That was the stuff I was in, and then the rest were just like, we'll just survive the best you can. There wasn't. I mean, it wasn't as bad as this, but the kind of motivational thing wasn't there. It was just like, yeah, we're grinding you through here. You need to go and get a trade and get a job somewhere, but we can't do much for you. I mean, schools that all over, and this is a much more, even though it's a extreme version of it, it kind of shows you a sense of the kind of depression that can come from a school system if it's not worked properly, if it's like allowed to just meander into depression and lack of funding and lack of interest, lack of drive. It's just that thing of, it's an inner city school. nobody cares. So this is a wonderful film. It's about the atmosphere of that and what that kind of sense breeds in people, and how it causes them to self-destruct and how it causes them to act out, and the kind of victims of that. And the fact that these kids are old enough to understand something about their fate, but they don't know how to react in an emotionally stable way. I mean, it's like the idea is that's why teenagers go a bit crazy sometimes. They start to sense all the lies of the world, but they don't know how to react to it. And sometimes some of them become activists, some of them become depressed and suicidal. And this is a bunch of them are working class who just become violent and angry. But it's still the same teenage thing of seeing what the world actually is, and seeing your place in it isn't very high. So this is a wonderful film. The second horror film I've seen. I might prefer Antiporno a little bit more, but I've seen it a while ago, and I've had that loads of months for it to kind of get under my skin a bit more than this one. I'm interested to think what I think of this one in 6 months, because it is very, very good. But I kind of like Pornostar slightly more, because I thought it was a bit silly, and this one is actually genuinely depressing about the state of the world. But it's a wonderful film. I highly recommend it. Go see it.